Okay, hi, welcome back to my channel. Um, Today I'm going to talk about something called SSTI, and I want to go through the whole process of building a vulnerable VM. Basically, what I can say is that I already have N12 22.04 VM, and basically what I do is I just use ChatGPT to tell me what to build next, to be able to create a vulnerable VM for myself for target practice. Um, yeah, because I find that even though we do have a lot of sites like Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, and things like that, which are very good vulnerable VMs for attacking. But let's say if I want to specifically look for something like research into a particular vulnerability or topic, it's difficult to find attack boxes that just have that particular vulnerability. You see, so one of it is that I was looking at recently, but I didn't have the time to do the video until now. Is something called SSTI. Okay, so this is my vulnerable VM. Okay, it's running Nginx, and basically it has PHP code running on it for a page that I'm going to show to you in a minute. And basically within this box itself, I've actually purposely configured two binaries just for sake of demonstrating a point. I've configured two binaries to be exploitable. Okay, which means that I've turned on the SUID bit, okay, the SUID bit on it. So yeah, if you're not sure about what is SUID or GUID, just go and Google it, or use ChatGPT to learn what exactly it is. So basically, what happens is that the two binaries I turn on is gawk, okay, and find. And once you have the SUID turned on, you notice that it's no longer like the permissions doesn't show as RWX. Instead of read write execute is RWS, okay, which means that the SUID bit is turned on those binaries, okay, and you see in a moment why I'm doing that, okay. So this box has an IP address of 172, okay, and I'm going to access 172 from my Kali Linux attacking machine, okay, just to show you how it looks like. So this is basically the page that I have, okay. So this thing called SSTI, which is server-side template injection. What does server-side template injection mean? It's basically for example, if we do have like let's say you have a URL that's like that, right? Okay, and I do have the default file would obviously be index, sorry, index.php, right? Okay, and if we like do something like in this case we actually do have a template. If I use template and I put something like ID, okay, I do have a template that's already available on this site called template. And if I try to inject the template within the index PHP, okay, it will do something. So on the fundamental level, what the SSTI does is that it takes whatever you have injected into a template, okay, or being captured from a template. The template itself can be used to capture anything. It can be captured from forms, input from forms and things like that. And then it combines with HTML code and it displays it, right? You can format it and then display it in a table and things like that. Basically, you can pass the code and do something with it. Okay. So in this case, I already have a template that's already set up already together with my index.php page. So if I do something like if I let's say I assign a value to a template. Let's say if I assign the value of ID, right? You can see it shows www dash data, which is basically the default user for the Nginx server. Okay, up on this server. Now, uh, because I have a whole bunch of stuff that we can see, useful payloads. These are stuff that I've generated during my free time. Um, yeah, stuff that I've generated using ChatGPT. Okay, I won't be going into all these things because um, the thing that I'm actually looking for is uh, I can just show you one. Okay, the thing I'm actually looking for is actually popping the shell. Okay, but I'm going to show you one that I can actually inject and list. We can actually list the process. Okay, now if you notice that there's things like %20 and stuff like this is basically the HTML, sorry, the URL encoding. If you're not sure what that is, go and read it up on what is URL encoding. Okay, so things like spacers. When you talk about URLs, you use a curl command to actually uh, you know, if you use a URL with a call command, you cannot just type in the whole URL with spaces in between or different characters and stuff like that. They actually do have special assigned numbers for it. Okay, so those are %20 is basically the encoding value for a space. Okay. Um, Now let me just show you what happens. Just quickly show you what happens when I inject it with this. It shows basically the all the processors which are running in the background. Okay, so yeah, that's how it looks like, right? So we do understand a little bit of again, I'm not an expert, no, but I understand enough about this, know what template injection does. Okay, so this is server-side template injection. So if your server actually has this kind of vulnerability, if you're not properly, if you do not know, I mean, basically if you don't do things like SAST and stuff like that, you don't do secure code scanning against your own source code, and you have such vulnerabilities, people can actually use that to attack your your server. Okay, I'm going to show you a very quick one, how this is possible. So over here, I do have a URL that I'm going to explain it to you a little bit. 172.16.16.172. This is my actual vulnerable server, okay, with the SSTI vulnerability. And you can see the thing behind, the IP address behind, which is 172.16.16.110. And you see a 9999. This basically is the IP address of my Kali Linux box, and 9999 is the port number for a Netcat listener. All right, you can change it to anything you want. Of course, you have to change it accordingly. I'm just going to show you how I catch the callback on Kali Linux. So on Kali Linux, what we do is that we set up the Netcat listener as usual. In this case, I'll be using port 9999. Okay, and we can just I'm just going to copy and paste it in. Okay, and watch what happens. Okay, immediately it catches a callback, and I actually have a shell. Okay, um, now this shell isn't really good. Okay, so because I want to do any, if I want to do any kind of clear and stuff like that, so we're going to do like an export command. Okay, if I want to do a clear screen, no, it won't work, so I need to do export command. So export term equals to x term. Okay, so with this, I will be able to do a clear screen. Now, if I do a uname dash a, I will be able to see that, oh, I am remotely connected to that SSTI the server, right? However, I won't be able to do much because if I do a who am I am basically www-data. I am the user account that is running the Nginx web service. So I can't do much on this server. Okay, it doesn't really work. So the next thing you need to look for, obviously, right? I'm not going to demonstrate this because this will make this demo much too long. But in real life, okay, in real life, what hackers do is they use things like peace, lean peace, which is basically like a shell script. They can actually download, and what it does is it automates the scanning of any possible vectors for privilege escalation. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the lean piece thing. I'm going to just show you from the point where we already made the assumption that I've already found two vulnerable binaries which have the SUIT bit turned on. Okay, very dangerous, by the way. Don't do it to production boxes. Yeah, please don't do that. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. Since I already know there's two, I'm going to take just the find command for example. Okay, as just an example to show, just to prove a point. So what happens is that again, let me do a who am I just to show it to you. I am www-data, right? So if I do something like this, right? Now, before I go further, I'm going to explain a little bit about how do we get things like, if you're wondering how do you look for ways to actually escape from your restricted shell, and how do you do things like privilege escalate and stuff like that. There's a lot of vectors to privilege escalate. Okay, however, one of the things that, for example, let's say if I'm looking in particular for let's say if I'm looking in particular for binaries that the SUIT bit turned on, right? You can go to this. You can go and search. You can just Google search for GTFO bins. GTFO bins. Basically, they stand for get the F out bins. It's basically the bins is binaries, right? So get the F out means that to get out of something, right? And it's a whole curated list of, there's, you can see there's like 390 binaries over here, okay? So if let's say for example, I run lean piece and I know that, oh, I do have the gawk command, I do have the find command, uh, and I want to exploit them further. Okay, so let's say for example, I look for the find command, and you can see there's a lot of different functions. You can just click on the find. You can see there's a whole bunch of ways you can try to either try to privilege escalate or try to gain some form of more advanced access to the system, you know, or be able to control the system even from a non-privileged shell. Okay, it's pretty scary. Even if they don't manage to privilege escalate and get root, there's still ways to, you know, actually manipulate your system through a non-privileged shell. Okay, they can even, especially for cracking, right? Hackers always look for the slash etc slash password, the file. No, they need to have both. They need the PASSWD file as well as the shadow file, right? Which is also in the slash etc slash shadow. So if they can get both these files, they will be able to run another script to actually convert it to a form that can be crackable by John the Ripper. So that is very scary. We do not want to go there. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that I won't be showing you that, but I'm just going to show you the find command, how what happens. So when we yeah, so I'm trying to break out from my restricted shell. So when we use the find command this way, what happens is that you get kind of like, you know, there's no prompt anymore. Okay, but it doesn't mean that, no, it's game over. Basically, what happens is that if you do a who am I, you notice that you have become root, right? And once you become root, it's kind of scary because you know, you can actually cat the shadow file. Okay, you can get information out from there, and yeah, all these things are basically the hash, the password hash for users on the system can be actually broken, right? Can be cracked with John the Ripper. Okay, so that's basically how it works. All right, I'm going to exit from this and clear the screen. Now, okay, so let's say for example I have in a binary that which was Gawk, right? Which I actually turned on the suet bit as well. And of course you can also try Gawk as well. Now if Gawk doesn't work, there are a lot of other ways to, you know, to go about trying to exploit the system, right? Which I won't go into detail now. Okay, so Gawk doesn't work for escaping the shell, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways. However, I think we have something like file read. File read actually works, no? So we just need to declare like a L file equals, let's say for example like etc slash shadow, okay, and then we just copy the second line, okay, which is to read this file. Boom. You see, I can still read out the shadow file even from a restricted shell, okay? You see that I'm www-data. So GTFO bins is a very, very good resource, especially for people doing pen testing, or, you know, if you're a hacker who's trying to play around with systems to learn about stuff and things like that, or you're doing CTF, whatever, you know. I'm not a CTF guy by any means. I can only pwn very very simple boxes, okay? Maybe 1 or 2 million boxes, and that's about it. I'm not some expert CTF player. There are a lot of people, tons of people who are way better than me at CTF, okay? But anyway, this is one of the stuff that, you know, I just wanted to share with you guys. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy this. You know, this very cool. Something is very cool. SSTI is one of the many kind of web hacking kind of possible exploits they can actually use, together with or CSRF, and things like that. SQL injections, command injections, CSRF, SSTI. There's so many of it. Upload vulnerabilities as well. I'm going to try to come up with, probably the next video. I will do one on the upload vulnerabilities. How we use how if a upload if a page that allows, if a portal that allows upload does not properly check the upload files and stuff like that. No proper sanity checks and stuff like that. No, yeah, we can actually upload stuff that is dangerous, and we can actually do a callback, can upload payload and things like that. Yeah, so thank you for watching.